Now, this is something here that I'm going to mention now that is extremely misunderstood. You rarely see this covered much. Not some secret trick or magic formula. It's just a fact. It's reality. With OCD sufferers, different sufferers suffer differently. Okay? Let's think about that. Mild OCD. Not really affecting your life too much, going along, generally not causing problems now and again, change your relationship with thoughts, barely much of a problem. Chronic OCD, chronic guilt, chronic anxiety, latched on 24/7, not releasing, really consuming your life. There's a big difference. Now, the guy who's been in Camp A will say, oh, leaving thoughts there is all there is to it, because for him that worked. So he's absolutely convinced that that's it. It isn't. If it was, you wouldn't see so many people stuck. So now you've got Camp B with the chronic. Now that isn't just one camp. That branches out into so many subsections. You've got people that have just physical anxiety. The thoughts aren't that strong, but it's a sort of, there's mental rituals, but it's predominantly physical. That's very different to when it's just the thoughts like a machine gun in your head. Then you've got the people where it's stuck on one thought for years and it doesn't budge with anything, and then they come to the conclusion, I must be so-called treatment resistant. When it isn't that case at all, it's just they haven't been shown how to get under that fear that's very much latched at the bottom there. So that's the next part. Then you've got people who have OCD that's morphing around all the time, which is the same, kind of the same category, because it will sometimes latch for a long time or it will sometimes morph. But it's different. It's the same OCD. It's most likely genetically the same in that camp. But what's happening is how we're reacting to it, how we're adapting to it, and our own personality all is at play. So you might see somebody who comes in that's completely locked on existential thought, where they are completely fused to it. They've such strong physical anxiety, they can barely sleep or eat or anything. Now, is that OCD different to the other OCD? Genetically, not much, but just the way it's reacting on their beliefs and behaviors, it's different. If the person doesn't understand about how to adapt to this person, it's got to be quite unique. All the ways of getting them better is the same, but it's got to be applied in the right ways. If we just go with the very limited, lighter approach of leaving thoughts there, changing our relationship with it, it doesn't do enough in the general spectrum of things. Like, for example, someone with sensory motor that's really locked on, completely consumed by it, they've been to specialist, to specialist, to specialist, to specialist, and they can't get out of that. Usually the core fear is fear of never getting out of it and fear of the sensation. And they have to have more of an understanding of the sensation, plus seeing that it's not as scary as they imagine it to be. When they do that, it releases bit by bit, but you've got to approach their life structure, everything around it, because they've probably adapted all of that, as well as lots of compulsions they're unaware of. Now, if you take that person who's 24/7 locked with sensory motor for years, and you then put them with somebody who's got chronic OCD, but they've got some thoughts moving around, it's bothering but not too bad, he's going to feel like he's a way worse case. He's going to feel like he's completely different, he's alone. So yes, all OCD sufferers mixing and learning from each other is key, but it's important to understand our journeys are different.